All right,
Yeah.
for the last years, we're just going to make them custom colors. We'll put new stickers on them. Great. Okay. So we'll call them like cool names or whatever. The same
They just
cars.
announced the return of the manual. The last
right.
year of Hellcats, you're going to be able to get manuals again.
Oh,
We're just
wonderful.
going backwards
Put them
now.
in the Charger. That's what we need.
They should just deliver them to Copart. Like, that's it. Like, that's where they're going to end up. Like, we just cut out the middleman.
What's up, folks? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast, your favorite car podcast in the world. As always, it helps us if you rate, review, subscribe, like, do all those things that you can do to help keep us high up in those rankings. We really appreciate it. And, of course, go to that Patreon, patreon.com/the Smoking Tire Podcast, if you want to be even more involved in the show or never have to listen to me read ads ever again. And speaking of which, today's episode is brought to you in part by Manscaped. Love that Manscaped. It's Christmas season. And if you're naughty or nice, it's the season to perform. And that means another Manscaped ad copy where they find new ways to talk about your balls and how to trim them. Manscaped's best-selling product is the Performance Package 4.0. It's at the top of every man's wish list this year. They sent me one, and boy, am I having a good time with it. It comes with the Lawnmower Body Trimmer, the best trimmer on the market for your balls, butt, and body, and the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. I'm feeling that one. I got that Arab ear hair. When I was a kid, and I saw my grandpa with the ear hair really like coming out of his ear like a bramble, I was like, that'll never be me. Guess what? Turned 40, it was fucking me. And now I need a quality ear and nose hair trimmer, and the Weed Whacker is awesome. Let's not forget their famous liquid formulations, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner to maximize your ball hygiene routine. I don't know what they're paying the people who write this copy, but they are excellent and should get a raise. Get the Performance Package now to receive their 2 free gifts, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Dads can't stop talking about this. The teens secretly buy this, and the women will love your well-cared-for balls. Now, here are the picks for Manscaped Surefire Win stocking stuffers. Number 1 is the Manscaped 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Just launched. I've got it in my guest room shower, and my homie Marty came in for my birthday weekend and said very nice things about it. The Manscaped Infused Cologne Body Wash, and that one is right alongside it. The Shears 2.0 Luxury 4-piece Nail Kit. I'm going to use that tonight before I go on my trip up north with the wife, the little romantic getaway. The Crop Mops Ball Wipes for your stanky balls, and they wrote out stanky on this, which I love. And of course, the Manscaped Signature Cologne. Everything is vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free, so you know their products are legit, and your nuts will be fresh. Make sure to hurry over to that site and ensure these wild gifts show up before the holiday season. While you're at it, get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/tire. That's manscaped.com/tire. 20% off and free shipping, whether it's for your partner, dad, brother, friend, or yourself. Get them something they'll actually use and definitely get as much of a laugh as we got from this ad copy. Manscaped.com/tire. And since you're taking care of your balls, might as well take care of the rest of your health. Athletic Greens is our sponsor this week, that AG1. I love it. You drink it every morning, throw it in with some water, chug it down, and it handles your nutrition pretty much for the day. With 1 scoop of AG1, you're getting 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Funny, nothing about your balls on this one, but it's good for you. Helps you start your day right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, your energy, recovery, your focus, and aging, everything at once. I take it first thing in the morning before my coffee. Real easy. 1 scoop, water, chug, boom. It's good for my digestion. Keeps my stomach in check. Good energy, too, without the buzz of caffeine. Tastes all right, too. little bit tropical, pretty mild, not super, like if you've ever had like superfood stuff that's like gross or kombucha, it's not like that. It's pretty mellow, very easy to drink, very easy to incorporate it into your routine. Lifestyle friendly, right? Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, it's free of everything. Less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no chemicals or artificial everything, and it still tastes good. It's great. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues, ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover, and it cost him $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on your own. So you can get the benefit of this dude's hard work, but just jump to the finish line, right? It's recommended by professional athletes, trusted by leading health experts, and it is good for you. So right now, reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills or supplements to look out for your health. And Athletic Greens is making it easy, giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/tire. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/tire to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Before we move on with our show, let me tell you about the fact that there is a national platelets shortage. It's a little bit different from giving blood. When you give platelets, it's not quite the same thing as blood. There's actually fewer restrictions. Your blood type doesn't matter. Whether you've done some drogas tends to not matter if you're doing platelets. Platelets are a little more flexible, but there is a national platelets shortage. The donation process is fundamentally the same. You get an IV and blood comes out of you, but they then spin it up and separate the platelets, and it's really, really important for people that have or are recovering from leukemia and other blood-related disorders. So I really want to encourage you guys to get out there and donate. You can also become a bone marrow donor at bethematch.com. Same kind of deal, very easy. They don't drill your bones anymore. It's now done through your blood with stem cells. It's just a basic IV. You can go to bethematch.com. And if you happen to be in Los Angeles and you want to be a extra friend to this podcast, my brother-in-law John Stein is suffering from leukemia right now, and they have a shortage on his fucking platelets. He personally needs platelets. And if you are in Los Angeles and you can get over to the City of Hope Cancer Hospital, which is in Duarte, a suburb of LA, you can assign a platelet donation directly to John Stein, and I would certainly appreciate that. But if you can donate platelets anywhere in America, there is a national shortage right now. So do a little good in the holidays. It don't cost you nothing but your time. And on with the show. All right, folks, on this show, my old pal Freddy Tavarish Hernandez is on the program. They just released CarTrek 9, the 9th series of the show he does with Tyler Hoover and Ed Bolian. They bought some beater supercars, fixed them up, and took them on a series of adventures. So we talk about that. We talk about what's going on in his personal collection of shitboxes that are rapidly getting more expensive. He's doing a manual swap Scuderia. He's got that McLaren going on over there. We get an update on the Million Mile Lexus, which I gave him. We talk a little bit of YouTuber shop and more. Freddy Hernandez, a.k.a. Tavarish, is on the Smoking Tire Podcast. How's Florida, buddy?
Florida's good. It's not cold, and there's some mosquitoes, but other than that, all great.
One day I'm coming to Florida in the right time of year.
Is there a right time of year?
Well, they always send me to Florida during when it's cheap and hot. Mm-hmm. So I'd never. Yeah. I'm always like, this fucking blows. But then, like, you know, in the right time of year, it's like, okay, actually, kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, the winter, there's all the snowbirds. They come down from the north, and they have their Winnebagos or whatever, and they plant them in an RV park, and then they just live here for 3 months, and then they scatter like they get Thanos around springtime, and then we do the whole thing all over again.
I see a business opportunity.
I mean, I'm down if you are.
Why are we not in the RV park industry? That seems like the way to do it.
So one of my
services, none.
Yep.
Why?
Yep. one of my friends, he has a few RV parks, and he has a private jet. So yeah, it is a pretty.
Whoa, really?
It's a pretty good business.
Fuck.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Fuck. God damn it! This fancy parking is not where it's at. We need to be doing shitty RV parks.
Well, I mean, RV parks are nice.
Are they dope? Are your friends' RV parks dope?
I think they're pretty bare bones, but like you still have to have utilities and stuff like that. They hook up their septic. I have no idea how RVs work, but it's like you hook up the.
I think you plug them in and you plug them out, right?
Yeah.
But water in, poo out, power in.
Yeah, the poo has to go somewhere. Yeah.
The only ones I've ever been to, the poo doesn't go out in real time. You have to pull around to the front and dump the poo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe these are a little nicer where the poo goes out, like in real time. But
that would be fucking sick. That's the nice. Then don't have to dump.
Isn't that called a house?
It's called a house.
Don't fucking blow up my shit, Zach.
It'd be great indoor plumbing. Yeah.
It's amazing. Miracle of engineering invented in the Roman times. The new series is out. CarTrek season 9? How many seasons have you done?
Yeah. We're on the 9th one, and we decided to do them sort of back to back because we wanted them to be less time between series. So they're shorter in terms of like overall episode. There's only 3 episodes in this series where we would usually do 5 or 6, but now we have a month in between versus 2 or 3 months. So it ends up being the same.
Was that a strategic decision based on data, or was that something you were just like, let's just try this and see how it goes?
I think it was a decision based on the fact that we were running ourselves ragged, and we wanted to do like maybe different premises, and it was like a little bit more work to do 2 in one go, just because we have to now work out logistics to go from one to the other, because they're not in the same place. So it was more as a like, we want to see what the audience thinks about this format, and it was just a little bit of an experiment, but I think it worked out. I think we might go to a different format, maybe where we do like a one-off special, which is what we're doing for our 10th one, which is the Christmas special.
The one-off special, meaning one long episode.
Yes, one 90-minute to 2-hour long special. Yeah.
Wow.
And that would be cool. Free or paid on demand?
No, free. Yeah, we just put on YouTube.
Wow. Well, that's kind of like counter to the prevailing YouTube wisdom, isn't it?
In a way, but I know that I have had a lot of success with the longer form content stuff. And the only thing, I mean, not to get too into the weeds on YouTube, but like YouTube as an algorithm, people talk about the algorithm a lot. The algorithm just wants 2 things. And it wants watch time, and it wants click-through rate. So the second you get, not the second, but like when you get both of those work in your favor, that helps a lot. So watch time, the longer you make a video and the more compelling you make a video, the longer people tend to watch. And click-through rate, that's just thumbnail and title. So if you got a good thumbnail, good title, good premise, and then you have really good watch time, YouTube will push that out as hard as it can, because you're supposed to basically have as many ads as possible on that content. And YouTube makes more money, you make more money, more people see this stuff, and then that's how it sort of works.
It's all right. I mean, I agree with you on those issues, but it's just usually I mean, for even you guys have been doing it broken up into pieces for some time, and stuff that's designed specifically for YouTube doesn't usually go 90 minutes with one thing. Although, do they let you put do you put like 20 ads on something that's 90 minutes?
So, I mean, we can talk about, we could talk shop probably off camera, and I'll tell you how many ads I put on things, and we can we can definitely optimize your stuff because you might be leaving money on the table. But what I've noticed is that, YouTube has an algorithm for the ads. So when you put in an ad, let's say you put in, I don't know, 3 ads in the first 15 minutes or something, right? And like that doesn't mean that every single person sees 3 ads in 15 minutes. And that doesn't mean that those 3 ads are going to be the same type of ad. It might be, like a little banner ad. It might be a skippable one. It might be, something different. But sometimes YouTube sees that, all right, this person doesn't really like watching a video past this amount if it has this amount of ads in it. So it's going to skip maybe one ad, or it'll tailor it to that person's watching view duration.
Right.
So that algorithm actually has gotten quite good. So as a YouTuber now, you can pepper ads pretty liberally. Like you can put in a lot of ads and YouTube sorts it out fairly well. So it's not like, I'm not saying put them in every 30 seconds. That's insane. But if you put them in at decent intervals, like you would see in a TV show, where you'd put them at natural break points. I'd say, all right, guys, let's go check this out. And then there's a knowledge gap there. Then I think, it makes sense. And nobody I haven't had any complaints about it. So that's sort of the metric that I use. Do I see a lot of comments saying, oh my God, this has, 6 billion ads on it. How dare you? You're a sellout and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, I've never been able to get rid of comments entirely that say this has 6 billion ads and you're a sellout. They think, for someone like me who's just driving around nice cars, they don't think, maybe it's because you're wrenching on cars and the cars are terrible, that they let this guy make his money. But when it's me, they're like, fuck this dude, he's having fun.
No, a funny thing happens when you start working on cars that are above the pay grade of most people in the country.
Right.
If I say, all right, we're going to work on this McLaren that, starting out just broken, it was $80,000. And then I put, $250,000 into it. People that you lose some people where you go, I wanted this to be about a Miata that cost $900. And yeah, but there's a certain point in that you lose sort of relatability. And then you have to merge that into they have to live vicariously through you. But then you can't always have it. This is a pet peeve of mine when a lot of rich people they want to get famous or they want to do a YouTube channel and they go, look at all the money I have and look at the amazing time I'm having. And nobody cares because there's no conflict. But if you say, hey,
drive my car to Monaco.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to drive my car to Monaco. Right, that's great. But nothing happens. But if you have a Pagani Zonda and then you get an fender bender with a Ford Tempo, oh my God, that's fantastic. Then you have some content there. But people don't really want to do that, and they don't want that to be they don't want to have that be a stain against their reputation.
Yeah. My least favorite genre of content is people who are already rich and then decide to be YouTubers about themselves. That fucking, I used to get mad about it. Now I just don't even care. But it's there are very few people out there that are more boring than that genre of person. And there's a lot of them.
It's because, and I didn't know that. I've seen that a lot. It's because they might be too new and they're not putting in enough effort to really hone in on what their voice actually is. Because everybody has a unique voice, whether you're rich or whatever, that doesn't really matter if you have a perspective that you can actually add to the car industry. That's what's important. But if you're just rich and you're hey, so Stradman does videos like this, so I'm just gonna do Stradman stuff, and then I'm gonna have the thumbnails like him, and I'm gonna talk real fast, and then I'm just gonna talk about this Bugatti Chiron that my dad has. That's that really isn't good. It doesn't have to be relatable, but it's not replicatable. You might have one thing where you get, something gets 1 million views, but they're not doing that consistently every week. They have something that gets 1 million views and the next one does 20,000 views.
Yeah.
So it's those people, I think, just have to, just like everybody else, just work harder, just grind.
Yeah.
Can we go back? Did you say you bought your McLaren for $80,000 and then you spent $250,000 repairing it? Now, was that is that a joke number or real?
No, it was. So it's all in, including the price of the car. I spent $241,000. Yeah.
Okay. Because
if
you'd spent $330, to fix it.
No, that would be
that math wouldn't work.
Yeah, at 240, the math doesn't work. But like, it's not about the math working. It's just about like, I had this car down to the carbon tub, and we literally put every single bolt on this car, like McLaren would have done it. And I didn't have any jigs. I didn't have specialized equipment. Like, we did it with ratchet straps and stuff, and like, we made sure to measure everything 3-4 times. We got all the angles correct. We put it on an alignment machine. Everything was pinned straight. We put it on a frame machine right after everything was done. So like, I wanted to make sure that this would drive 100% like a McLaren.
And then you went off at Thunderhill.
I did, yeah. So that was really, really fun. So here's what happened. We were filming CarTrek 9, and the first episode is we meet up at Thunderhill. I had my McLaren 675 LT, Ed Bullion had an Audi R8, and Tyler Hoover had a Ferrari 458 Spider.
And which car was the most fucked and fixed of the three? I mean, yours was pretty fucked when you bought it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like, as far as like fixed, I think my car, because I had to do everything to it. But I think Tyler's car had high mileage. It had accident damage. It was repaired poorly. It had mismatched tires. It had steel brakes. It was the rattiest 458 I've ever seen. But
I didn't even know you could get a 458 with steel brakes.
You can't. It's aftermarket. So they have. Yeah. Somebody.
Oh, was it an ex-rental car? It must have been an ex-rental car. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was an ex-Vegas rental car.
Oh God.
The interior was falling apart. It was terrible. But like, it still ran fine. Like, I mean, I drove it one day, and because Tyler and I switched cars because his car, the AC didn't work, and I think he got heat stroke, and we had to stop off at a Burger King or something for him to just sit in the AC for an hour. And then he drove my car with AC working, and I just drove his car back in Northern California. I think this was from the track. And
it's nice that your car had AC at all, because some of the L675 LTs didn't even have fucking AC.
Oh my God. I remember you doing a review. Like, first of all, whenever I buy a car, I watch your reviews probably 3 or 4 times. Like every single time I buy a car, like I need to know what Matt Farah thinks of this thing. But like, I know you like the car a lot, but you had was it Napier Green?
Yeah, it was the fucking one that everyone was going to put, the one they shipped around to all the magazines to put on the scales. So they needed the minus 40 pounds or whatever for no AC.
That is, first of all, it's insane because it is lined with Alcantara, which is not a really breathable fabric. So you're sweating into this bucket that holds you. It doesn't have any it doesn't have anywhere for the sweat to go. So
it was gross.
Like, even with my car with AC in it, I was still sweating. Like, my back was wet. It was disgusting.
It's gross.
So for McLaren to do that, like a major car manufacturer to take out AC in their flagship automobile, is so asinine, because race cars have AC.
I know, right?
It's so stupid.
Yeah, every modern race car I've ever driven has had like perfectly good AC. It's funny. I mean, I know why they did it. It's just a little sneaky.
It's for idiots.
I'd be shocked.
People.
I mean, you might know better than me because you're a connoisseur of the 675 LT. I don't know if any of the publicly sold cars, if anyone took the AC delete. I doubt it.
No, it was a no cost option, and it makes no sense. I mean, the amount of weight that you save is like if you went to like the grocery store and you came back, like that's it. That's it. Just like, don't have anything in the trunk, and you've made it up. So I took that car on Thunderhill, and we were filming, like we were doing our sighting laps. And I didn't actually have any, like, this is a little kind of inside baseball thing, but I didn't have any cameras inside the car with me. So what ended up happening was, like, I did my sighting lap, and I was going, obviously, a little too fast. I'm not going to say that, I should have had instruction or whatever. Maybe that's the case, but they rented us a track, no instruction at all. And I thought that I was going slower than I was. And what you don't notice in a car like that is that you are like sensation of speed is like nullified. Like you don't know how fast you're going. 100 feels like 50 in that car,
especially on a track.
Especially on a track when you have no frame of reference. So I knew that there was a hill, but I didn't know that it was like a mountain. So I'm going what must have been 80 miles an hour. Like I accelerated a little bit more than I should. But I thought, hey, this has carbon ceramic brakes and air brake. I'll just brake real hard and then it'll stop the car. But I went over the crest and the road disappeared.
Yeah.
Like there's just no road. And like the car got some air. It hit the ground like fairly hard. And then I had both my feet welded to the brake as I rode down the hill, just like shaking and everything. I'm like, I thought that first of all, I thought my bumper, which was, you know, I say in the series that's like 14 grand. I thought that was toast. I was like, I just ruined my car. And what's worse is that we didn't have cameras on it. And like, I didn't know that they had a drone in the air and they captured it. But like, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
There's the hill on the second from the right, Zach. That's coming down the downhill. So what we're looking at in that photo is actually you're looking at the track backwards, right?
Yes.
So you can see this car pointed down the hill, and it splits there. And actually, the low side is just as sketchy as the high side because it's even faster and
I think it's more
off camber.
Yeah.
And so. You know, the uphill section is really pointed right at that flag stand that's sitting up there.
It is. So I narrowly avoided that, and then I just went off like that portion to the left. That's what my car sailed over.
And it's not a unique thing to happen because, as you can see, there's tire marks going all the way down that. So it happens. Like people do that. You know,
of course,
pretty regularly.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of comments that said, you know, I did lemons at Thunder Hill, and like you just had a dozen cars go off at the same time. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was pretty. It was pretty scary for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why sighting laps are necessary, and why sighting laps are probably good at say 30 miles an hour.
Slow.
Not 80.
Yeah. That's why they're supposed to be slow.
Yeah.
How bad was the car fucked, or was it all right?
No. I mean, I gave the grass a little bit of a cut, but it was just like bunch of grass in the fenders, not in the fenders, in the grills, and some scratches to the bottom of the car. But like honestly, going through Car Week and those roads near Monterey, those were way worse than that crash.
Oh, did you go like south on Carmel Valley Road where it gets real bumpy? This is a little inside baseball, but
yeah, it wasn't super bumpy. What they don't tell you is like all these cars, these, you know, hypercars and $1 million whatevers, like they're all scraping the bottom of their car on these roads. And like you see these Chiron owners just like livid because like, oh my, I just paid $5 million for this car and this stupid road, you know, you can't do anything about it. Because
that's why you got to drive a 328, bro. It's all about that. The ground clearance of the 328. Ooh, it's good.
You know, I was very jealous of like Tyler because he didn't have a front lift, but he didn't care about his car. His car was a piece of crap. So like,
that's also valuable.
Yeah, he could rub into anything. The car still looked kind of cool. You know, it still made all the sounds and all the noise and all the power. But like, you could bang that thing into a curb and it didn't matter. But like my car, I'm like, please, I don't want to. It was,
yeah. I mean, he bought his car like as a prop. Like your car was like your car.
Yeah. So I mean, he bought it because it was. He wanted to get it under $100,000, so it was like 99999.99. You know,
that's really hard. Like I don't know if anyone out there understands how like 458s have a floor, like. And the floor is a lot higher than 100. Like to get one for under like 130 it's gonna be like pretty shit. Like even if it has a bunch of miles, you know, 50, 60,000 miles, if it's clean and looks good and has like and hasn't been crashed, it's 150, 160 grand. And
I mean,
like,
his was a Spider.
It's true.
I mean,
so
good
it must be
Spider
extra
is like
shit.
$225, $230 now.
Yeah. To get one for under $100,000 means it is a fucking shitbox.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Like all the lights were on. The you want to talk about sticky buttons? All the buttons were sticky. The dash was coming apart.
Just Freddie, just pull it up. We have for the record. We've got here's a 68,000 mile 458 Italia, $170,000.
Yeah. And that's just a coupe, man. That's crazy. That is nuts. Yeah. Tyler's had 89,000 miles.
That's a lot. I mean, and those rental miles too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
These cars are actually, I mean, in terms of just like the powertrains and stuff, they are really reliable, especially compared to what most people think of when they think of a Ferrari. 458s are super, super tough. Miles by itself wouldn't necessarily scare me, but wow, 60,000 miles in a Ferrari, the thing's still 160 grand. That's a fucking that's what we're talking about. So,
and to be honest, like the amount that you pay isn't really that, like the $160,000 driving experience.
Right.
It's a lot, man. Like you're paying for that Ferrari sort of. You're paying for the name because the car has like 560 something horsepower.
Yeah, I mean, I like 458s a lot. I think that when you start getting a lot more power than that, you can't really use it most of the time, and especially with Ferrari, like the 488 and the F8, the newer versions are a lot more expensive, and the extra power isn't that usable, and the interior and stuff is all the same, and so there's a lot of value in a 458. But I hear you.
I mean, I would now they're kind of priced out of the market, but like, back in the day, you could get a 430 manual for that kind of money.
Yeah.
But it's because I think there's going to be less power, but like it's more driver focused. And
manual Ferraris are the shit. They rule.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just doing my Scud. We're converting that to manual. So that's been, it's a process.
Yeah. That'll be a good time. The what was wrong with Ed's R8?
Zero. There was nothing wrong. So he completely cheated on this one, and he had a 2017. So the idea was we got these salvage supercars. These cars have been wrecked and then rebuilt and all of that stuff. And Ed found this like basically perfect example for the challenge. R8 that had been like in 2 accidents and then like a previous repossession, all this stuff. And then he found one that was clean, that was $5,000 more. So he just bought that. And I think like it's an interesting Ed Bolian thing to do because he brought an Audi that was like, he wrapped it orange. So it used to be black. So it's a black on black Audi R8, the most boring supercar you can buy today. But it's reliable. You can drive it every day. But it feels like if you just get in the car, drive it, and put it in automatic, it feels like a Volkswagen Golf. Like it just feels like nothing special at all. On the track, it was fine. It was great. But it just doesn't have that sense of occasion that the Ferrari has, the McLaren has.
Well, and it's also not a shitbox, which I thought was the point of the challenge. Yeah.
I mean, it has like some damage on it. Like he has a little, like somebody ran into a curb or something. And I think that was the joke. But, we just wanted something that was a juxtaposition to our shit boxes. And we wanted to have Ed clearly cheat at something, in one way, and then I would sort of cheat in another way. And I think that was like a good way for us.
What was your cheat?
Well, the premise was that we had to do it for the price of a Z06 Corvette, a C8.
Oh.
And Z06s are they start at 130 or 140 or something.
Out the door it's 140, 150 for a good car, yeah.
Yeah, but like my whole thing is like these cars are so in demand that people are going to be paying 75.
Oh yeah, you factor the ADM. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I was like, people are going to want the Z07 package and all that stuff. By that time, you're like 173, and then like plus added dealer incentives or whatever, and that it's going to be 200 something. So I was like, maybe it makes sense. I could at least make that argument. I don't know if it was convincing, but I don't care. I just wanted my McLaren on the track.
Sure. I feel you. All right. I mean, and how was your car week?
Car week was fine. So here's the thing. I always struggle with the rich guy stuff. Like just being at like I know a lot of people really love it. Like they go, oh my god, that's Christian von Koenigsegg, and he's he's with his entourage, or like that's look at this car, it's a one of one, and this is $7 million, and I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. Like I feel like I went to the Quail, and the Quail was fine. That's it. I mean, I just hung out with Misha Mansour. Like we're just we're just farting around and like making jokes and stuff. Like I think that was more fun than actually like the pomp and circumstance of everything.
Yeah.
Like that stuff I never get. But it was really cool to see things like very rare cars, specs that nobody has ever seen before, just driving around like they're normal cars. And then you have, owners that are pretty cool. They've like one owner, he let us borrow his Countach, his Porsche Carrera GT, and his Ferrari 812 GTS. He owned all three of those cars.
Nice.
And we got to drive them around for a little bit, and it was fantastic. It was great. So for that, I really like Car Week, but like everything else, I'm like, I went to the RM auctions, I saw like Aaron Paul, we got to sit in a McLaren F1. That was interesting, but like, I don't know. I feel like I like the lower end of the car world a little bit better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. I mean, I personally enjoy both. I think driving around at Car Week and seeing people drive stuff, the type of traffic jam that exists in Monterey that week is so unique. It's hard to get mad for being in traffic when there's like a real GT40 like idling in front of you. And I happen to be down on PCH for the Tour d'Elegance, and I really like watching the Tour d'Elegance because you do get to see the stuff go by and hear it, and that's a nice thing. And
of course,
and shit.
I love it just as much as any other car guy does. Actually, a funny thing we did was after we got out of the Quail, we were in a traffic jam going back to the hotel. And then all of a sudden we see this Pagani Huayra on the other, like just crossing us. And Horatio Pagani's driving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
I think I was either right in front. Well, no, remember I saw you. I was right in front of you in my black car, and you were turning off to go south, and I was going back to my hotel. But I did a quick smile and a wave, and I think you might have seen me, but I was there. I was like, oh look, Huayra BC, and then I saw this tiny little Argentinian man driving it.
Just two knuckles on the steering wheel. Yeah,
that is Horatio in a Huayra BC. Yes, that is legit. Yeah.
One thing that I did like. God, it's maybe an Italian thing or it's maybe an ego thing or both. But he did a panel at the Quail with like a bunch of other really prominent car builders and engineers, and he had to have his translator translate into English.
Yeah,
Horatio Pagani can speak English. Like he just
chooses not to.
He just doesn't want to. Like I don't know if that's like a dick move or it's just like it's a power move. Like, listen, I make these cars. Who gives a shit? I'm not speaking. I'm not talking to you in your language.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, I think there's like speaking English and then there's public speaking. That may be maybe the pressure of being on a panel on stage. I don't know, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because his cars are awesome.
Of course, I'm not saying that there's anything bad about it. I just think it's a little wild. It's like this dude knows, like he's been around English speaking people for a while.
Like it's a thing in LA where in LA you're if you see someone that looks, is that Billy Crystal? That looks like fucking Billy, It is. That's where you're going to see that, and it's this, at Car Week, it's the same thing. It's like, is that a tall guy with a mustache or is that Gordon Murray? Is that fuck it? And it is. It
always never follow that with they wouldn't be here.
Yeah. It always is. And so it is fun to be walking around and like the person that you think that is like, that's that guy. And so it's fun. And plus, I like Panama hats for some reason.
They're always good.
I spent so long getting a hat this year. I put hours into finding a goddamn hat.
I mean, a hat is that's a fashion statement. So one thing I wanted to compliment you on was your choice of color for your car. Your Porsche.
Oh, for the Porsche?
Really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good time, that color. It's very fruity.
I don't think so. Like, I don't think it's necessarily like, fruity. I think it's really understated, and it's super classy.
It's cool. It's cool because it shifts, in the light. It looks different indoors and outdoors and in sun and shade. And so that I'm very excited about. I don't know if I don't think I told you, but I sent it down to HRE Wheels. They were making me a set of wheels. There's lightweight R101 lightweight wheels. They're very nice. Ooh. And the finish that they made the wheels, the car got down there. And they hit me up, and the guy hit up Zach, and the guy said, "Hey man, I don't know if Matt should do this." and they sent me the photos, and it turns out the color that I chose for the wheels was heinous.
Was it like a rose gold?
It was copper gold, which when I saw the swatch on a screen and I was toggling back and forth with photos of the car, it worked. But when they sent a photo of the wheel, it just didn't work. And so the reason I don't have the car today is because they're refinishing the wheels in like a champagne color that works much better. So I'll have the car on Thursday.
Dude, that thing looks awesome.
But it's it's crazy, and the motor is really, really crazy. That's the good thing is the motor's crazy. Fucking Segura just sent his GT3 Touring to demand, and he sent me the video of it running. They've got a 600 horsepower 4.5 for the GT3 that is just fucking nasty.
That's so wild.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
The Porsche stuff is always interesting to me because, Porsche horsepower is so much more expensive than any other horsepower, and it never sounds like you would think. It sounds like a really angry vacuum cleaner sometimes, but like sometimes it sounds awesome. Like right when they get to 9,000 RPM or something.
Yeah.
I went to the UK. And they let me borrow, like the organizers of the event that I was there for, let me borrow a Cayman GT4. And I drove that thing around. I mean, it was also my first time actually driving in a right-hand drive country with a right-hand drive car. But like it was fantastic. It sounded kind of burbly. It was, it had some throatiness to it. Like I appreciated it more than I thought I was.
Yeah. They're great cars. How did you find right-hand drive? Pretty fun, right?
Yeah, it's fine. So I have some right-hand drive cars, but it's here in a left-hand drive country. So it's it's a little bit annoying. Going through drive-throughs is always a pain in the ass. But like there, honestly, it took 10, 15 minutes to get used to it, and you're fine.
Yeah, it makes more sense when you're over there. I find it like, because, a lot of times for me, driving is like more mundane and boring, even in like a fun car, driving, it's, depending on what you're doing, could still be a relatively boring task, and so right-hand drive, especially if it's right-hand drive in a manual, it just gives my brain something else to do.
You can do the same thing if you put a snake in the car.
Yeah. That's right. It's
also
just
why
an
I
extra
drive
challenge,
with a cheetah.
Yeah, it's an extra thing to think about.
What's the story on this Scud? It was. I remember when you bought it, it was pretty fucked up.
Yeah, so I got a 2008 Ferrari 430 Scuderia that was crashed in the front pretty badly.
Yeah, it was fucking crunched.
It had some quarter panel damage as well. So we ended up. I hired a guy. His name is Jack, and now he works with me full time. And it's we rebuilt the entire front end. Like we got a whole front cut from Fur Parts. And
from what? What's it called?
Fur Parts. So Fur Parts is a Ferrari dismantling. Place. And
I love
got
dismantlers.
The whole front cut.
They're awesome.
Yeah. And what's really cool is that we did everything as Ferrari OEM specifications. So right where all the cutoff points would be for for the 430, that's where we put everything new. Like, and there are some parts that we had to cut to make work. So we ended up just buying new parts, from Ferrari that we got from Scuderia car parts. So like stuff like that is really interesting because like there's ways you can make things work that are like not cookie cutter, but like you cut a lot of corners. and we wanted to make sure that this is like as OE as possible. We wanted to make sure that this is exactly how Ferrari would do it. We use the same type of welder, same type of rivets. We like if a Ferrari tech looked underneath the car, he would not be able to see where anything was done. So everything lines up as far as the suspension. Everything lines up as far as where the bodywork is. We spent like 2 weeks on panel gaps alone.
So do you not need like specialized equipment to fix a Ferrari or a McLaren like Ferrari or McLaren would do it?
No, I mean it's easier if you have some of this stuff. But like the Ferrari, like this guy Jack, he's been in the he's not just some dude off the street. He's been working in the body shop collision field for 13 years, and he is also like a high level tech. So he's done, these incredible crashes and then restored them back to new. He knows where a car can be repaired and when a car can't be repaired. So that was one of my main concerns with this car is that, this car is entirely aluminum. So it's not like you can put it on a frame machine and pull it because you can't do that. Aluminum will stress, like there would be stress fractures. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of things like the glue is going to, like the glue that holds the panels together, that separates. And you're just putting a lot more stress on the metal. And you're actually changing the properties of the metal when you do that. So what you have to do is you have to go back. You have to keep going back to where there's no damage, and then you just replace everything forward to that. Yeah. So that's basically what we did. So it was a lot of work. It was a lot of time, and we spent a ton of time on just like a little nickel and dime stuff. But I think it came out really good. Now we are in the process of doing the manual conversion, and we have all the parts for that. We actually installed the shifter. We have everything plumbed in. Took the trans off, make sure everything was good there. But one of the things that I had an issue with is the fact that we also did a conversion to center lock wheels from a 430 Challenge.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I got the 430 Challenge hubs, the wheels, and the problem is the ABS sensors in the Challenge car and the road car are different. So you have to like knock them off. You have to make sure that there's like a certain amount of gap in between the sensor. It's a whole thing. So we ended up putting that on. So now like there's Challenge wheels on this car. The suspension is going to be a little bit lower. It's going to have manual transmission, and it's going to be like a generally like special Scud. And also we got it's not a custom paint color, but it's a paint color from Cadillac. So it's called White Lightning. So it has
it's like a pearlescent white. It looks really nice.
It does.
Yeah, so it has
awesome.
it has a gold hue to it because apparently gold is my thing. So I wanted it to be very I wanted it to be tasteful, but like not in your face. I don't have like bass boat flake in it or anything, but like
Wait,
just
so
something.
What color was it when you bought this wrecked one? Was it already this pearl white and now you're
No,
spraying
it was black.
or
it was black. We did a complete color change. Yeah.
Okay.
And most Ferrari paint is not very good.
I think most car paint isn't that great.
Yeah. So
according to Larry, Tesla was Ferrari was the worst. Mm-hmm. Tesla was the next worst. GM was after that, according to Larry Casilla.
Ferrari's
and
worst.
he said the best was actually Subaru.
What?
He said he was shocked at how good Subaru.
No, not when I bought one.
Yeah,
it chipped off real easy.
So with the paint, like the Ferrari paint tends to be okay in terms of like thickness, not thickness, like hardness.
Yeah.
So you can actually sand it down pretty good. But like generally on the supercar stuff, like they're not good at like taping things off, making sure there's no overspray, that sort of thing. Like McLarens are terrible.
Yeah, the McLarens aren't great either.
Properly bad. They will have galvanic corrosion, which means that the paint starts bubbling underneath.
That happened to one of my clients' cars, and actually McLaren warrantied it, which was nice of them.
So one thing that they won't tell you about McLaren warranty is that they will, if you take it to a body shop, that body shop has to be basically McLaren approved. But they will sell that body shop or you a pint of paint or something like that for something crazy like $1,200. And then at the end, if you don't use all of it, you have to send it back. But the problem is
you got to send them the leftovers.
You do, yeah. And the problem is these McLarens, sometimes unless they're like the stock colors that aren't like pearlescent or whatever, they're incredibly hard to match. So if you had like a volcano orange car, good luck matching that, because you have to respray the front of the car and then they have to blend it. And oftentimes these cars look way worse. And then when they put them back together, their panel gaps are worse than they were.
Yeah,
so McLaren has totally bad panel gaps. It has like on my 675 LT, like when it was crashed, I saw tape lines from like when it goes from carbon to painted. There's tape lines where you can see the primer. So like awesome. This is a car that was $400,000, and it was just like they're not really even trying. Like you can see where they went over wiring harnesses and stuff like that. It's like they don't care.
In fairness, the Ferrari 812 GTS that Zach and I got, remember that like sparkly gray? It was awesome. Even by Ferrari standards, the paint was incredible. You remember that thing?
The dark blue GTS?
Was it? No, it was like metallic, sparkly gray. The dark blue might have been the coupe.
A12 GTS in CarTrek, the second episode.
Was it like the amazing sparkly gray? It might have been the same car.
Well,
but it was super sick.
This car was awesome. I'm not a big fan of how the A12s look, but they're great to drive, and they're as practical as you can ever get a car to be.
Yeah, I am a fan of the A12. I think it drives fucking nice. Mm-hmm. Nice.
What do you think of the F12? So I sneak peek here. I may be getting an F12.
Oh, okay.
Even better looking than the A12, in my opinion.
I think so.
Yeah, they look good. They're pretty rowdy to drive. They're tail happy as shit. They're I don't think because the 812 has rear steer, and I don't think the F12 has rear steer.
No, the TDF did.
Oh, the TDF got it right. Yeah.
So I think the A12 got the TDF stuff.
It did,
because it's the same basic platform. But like, I just wanted, because I've never driven one before, but I love the way they look. And the reason why they look so good is because that was the last Pininfarina car. So Pininfarina got out right as that they were phasing that out. So that's why the 458 looks different than the 488. Like everything after the 488 was like just different sort of look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the look of that car. I actually like it better than the TDF. The TDF, I think it looks a little too busy. There's like
I agree. I totally agree. Those weird rear fender vent things look strange, and
they GTO'd it up a little bit there.
I think that thing's supposed to be even more ragged and just more aggressive than the regular F12.
The F12 is pretty gnarly. It's got really, really sharp steering and then a lot of power and not quite enough rear tire. So they're known for being hairy, but still a good buy. I mean, if they're reasonably priced, they're a good buy.
I wonder how much of that comes down to tire choice, because I know Ferrari is like married to Pirelli. So they have, I don't know why car manufacturers use Pirelli PZeros on anything, because they're just so bad. Like they go hard after 5 minutes, and like they're fine if your car is brand new off the factory showroom, but like it's nuts, because like if you go through a wet to dry transition, just get whatever else. Like they're the Trofeo R's are really good. Their track tires tend to be really good, but like, dude, like these PZeros, like anytime a car has PZeros, I just say like, dude, get the Michelin PS4.
We've had good luck with PZeros when they're on all-wheel drive cars.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about the all-wheel drive. I mean, if it's that itself is contributing that much to the more grip, but they've been all right on the all-wheel drive cars. But I mean, I put PS4Ss on all my own cars. So
yeah, that's the only thing I do too.
Yeah, but there's a shortage. They're tough to buy. You got to like order them in bulk and shit, and wait a year to get them now.
So when I did my Hellcat build, I have a Hellcat Redeye Charger. This car came from the factory with PZero all seasons. And this car was undrivable. Like it was the second you
it was a Hellcat with all seasons.
It was so like they were already used. Like the car had 3,000 miles when I got it, but like this was 3,000 of Dodge testing miles. So they're like, we got to see if the launch control works and the line lock.
It was like a pre-pro car, right? Like it was okay.
So what's interesting is like it's not like the tires weren't bald. Like they had plenty of life left in them, but they had zero grip, and it wasn't the kind of grip that were like, oh, this is fun. Like this is Oh my God, we're going 60 miles an hour and I'm about to hit a tree. Like, I have no control of this automobile.
What happened to the van, the Pacifica?
So the van I still have, it's actually outside my house. So we're doing that. eBay, they had a bunch of changes in eBay, and that's my, the sponsor of the build. And we actually postponed that because they changed their SEMA plans. So we're actually doing that, going to be Q1 or Q2 next year. But
how far did you get into that plan?
I mean, I got all the parts. So like I have a 1200 horsepower Hellcat going into it. I got the van. I got like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be like Jay Leno says. I live in a hilly area.
What can you leave from the Can you leave any of the interior?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. So the van's gonna be. It's not gonna be like Boosted Boys. They have that Routacy, which is basically just a race car in a van suit.
Yeah.
Like I want it so it looks like this was made by Dodge. So it's gonna have every single feature that the van had. Sliding doors and maybe if I could do the stow and go seating and all that stuff, maybe that'll fit. I'm not sure, but like I want to have cruise control and all that stuff. Like it's gonna look stock, but just gonna be rear-wheel drive and have this crazy engine in it. So that's the goal. Like I don't want to
start with like an all-wheel drive van. Is there then a transmission or like a tunnel to work with, or do you have to like smash the floor up to get a drive shaft under there?
So what's interesting is that the floor pan is the same for the all-wheel drive. Because of that stow and go, like there's actually like 5 inches of room. So like where you're sitting, it's actually up above everything. So there's room for exhaust. There's room for a drivetrain.
Oh, that's actually interesting. Yeah.
All-wheel drive is really interesting there because then you already have, the provisions for rear drive. You have the suspension, all that stuff. You just have to basically beef everything up, put a Hellcat rear diff in there, and then, just make a custom drive shaft. The only thing you'd have to really beat up maybe is the firewall. But even then, like the firewall, there's a ton of room there. And in the engine bay, there's a decent amount of room. The Hellcat engine is big, but like the van's tall. So like we got space.
But like also Hellcats need a lot of air. And the van, we're looking at the van, the mouth isn't that big. So you just do like, what do you do? A hood scoop of some kind or something?
Yeah, so it's not actually like if you look at the rendering, I think I had a rendering on my Instagram somewhere. It's the rendering of a blue car, and it was made by Abby Mellick Designs. And he has a 2021 or something like that.
There's a something. No, that's just a regular car. There it is. Oh yeah.
There it is.
Oh yeah, you use like a Jeep-like front bumper.
So that's actually the stock front bumper for a 2021. It just has a lip on it.
Oh,
so
really?
You can just open those things up, and then you'll have enough airflow to do whatever you want. So
you got a Sawzall, you got airflow.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. But
it's actually very good looking. The van is like really nice looking.
Ooh, Richie B.
I think so too. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to we're gonna 3D print all the fender flares and to make the molds and to make we're gonna essentially make them in fiberglass.
That's so rowdy.
It's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
You making a manual or you just use the 8-speed?
No, we're going to use the 8-speed. I want it to like. Why would you have a manual minivan? Like that's.
Well, is the Pentastar that van comes with transverse? I've never opened the fucking hood of a Pacifica. So I have no idea how they work.
It's transverse, and it's the same basic engine you get in the Charger, but like 10 less horsepower. I mean that thing's a piece of crap anyway.
No, it's more about turning it 90 degrees. You wouldn't do a transverse Hellcat, would you?
No.
Okay.
This is going to be like a traditional longitudinal engine. But like I think there's enough room that we can make everything work. We'll have to do like a little bit of custom stuff, but if you look at the inside of the van, there's nothing on that trans tunnel. So if you like lifted that up maybe 5 or 6 inches, you could just carpet that and it'll be fine. It'll look fine. It's not going to interfere with the HVAC system. It's not going to interfere with any wiring. So like it'll be fine.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
I'm into that. It looks really good. Is that blue the color you're going to do? I like that blue.
I really like that blue. It's like that B6, B6 whatever, Mopar blue. And there are other colors like the purples. They have like Dodge has awesome colors, really, really cool colors.
Yeah.
Do you have to reinforce the frame at all, or like the actual chassis? Because now you have 1,200 horsepower. Is that going to twist everything? And
So that's a really fun that's a really fun idea.
Not with PZeros.
Yeah, not with PZero.
If you do a burnout long
that
enough.
was the busy moto move with the 1,000 horsepower Odyssey. He was like, we kept exploding gearboxes with the sticky tires, and so we just put shitty tires, and now it just does. And I go, busy. Point of parliamentary procedure. What happens when I have to stop or turn?
Oh, you're not going to be doing any of that.
He goes, we have not thought this far.
No. Well, here, I want to have this be, a performance car, but it's not going to. I mean, Chargers aren't performance cars. They're made to make you laugh, and it'll brake and turn better than a regular minivan, just for because we're going to put the Redeye tires and brakes on it. Just mechanically, it'll have more grip because there's more tire there. But like as far as like the chassis reinforcement, do you know how much chassis reinforcement goes into a V6 Charger versus a Hellcat Redeye?
The same.
The answer is zero. Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's no change. Yeah, there's zero change.
Do you know how much chassis reinforcement goes into the GR Corolla versus the regular one? 349 different welds, and that's not counting the extra glue.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I took apart a Redeye, a brand new 2021 Redeye, down to every last bolt, and this was identical to a V6 90,000 mile beater car that we took apart. So I think the van should be okay.
Are you the structural engineer for Dodge just quietly? Because you're like, we don't need to reinforce it, and they're like, we don't need to reinforce it. It's just
it'll be fine.
The problem that I have with Dodge, and I did a bunch of Dodge events, and I did Roadkill Nights, and they had that the reveal for their new electric car, which is really cool. But like that, it's very, very, very clear that they have $0. Like they don't have any money for R&D. They're like, hey, what can we do with our existing fleet that will make us just like an incremental amount of more money? All right, for the last years, we're just going to make them custom colors. We'll put new stickers on them. Great. Okay. So we'll call them like cool names or whatever. The same.
They just announced the return of the manual. The last year of Hellcats, you're going to be able to get manuals again. Oh, we're just going backwards
and
now.
Put them in the Charger. That's what
they should just deliver them to Copart. Like that's it. Like that's where they're going to end up. Like we just cut out the middleman. So like it's insane. Like those cars in manual are fun.
They are. I remember I had a manual press car Hellcat. It was fucking awesome.
They're all fun,
so
man.
great.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're good, but I think because I drive my Hellcat every day. It's the 8-speed automatic, and I think it fits the car better, just because there's not much to worry about other than just kind of hold on. The paddle shifters, very good. I love the paddle shifters, and it hits you pretty hard. Like it's sort of Aventador-ish in its like shift patterns. Like,
the engineered kick. Yeah,
it knocks you in the back of the head. So that's cool. But like, I think Dodge doesn't. People were asking me if I could get out, reach out to Dodge and say, why aren't you making a Pacifica Hellcat? That would be really, really cool. And like, I actually asked them. I reached out and they were like, yeah, we don't. Listen, we're not going to do that. Like, what are you, nuts?
Nobody wants that.
I mean, they already made
three
the
people
Durango
that
one.
want that.
Like
I've seen. I would have thought. Yeah, I would have thought that I'd be seeing tons of the Hellcat Grand Cherokees. I think in the last 3 years, I think I've seen 4. Privately owned ones. Granted, if I go to Texas or something, maybe there's more. But like, I felt like I would have seen a bunch more, and like, I just don't see that many.
The thing about those cars is, like, they are better, way better than you think they are. Like,
they're nice.
The Durango Hellcat.
The Durango is awesome.
Yeah, it's a next level launch experience. So like, when I did Roadkill Nights last year, Dodge gave us press cars. They gave us like SRT Durangos. And I didn't even know they made SRT Durangos. Like, this is the first time I ever heard of these things. So we had, Chargers, and we were used to that. And the Charger, when you do a launch control, it goes between like 1,500 and 2,500 RPM. Like you can manage it, right? And it lights up the rear tires, and it does a regular launch. Now, the Durango is all-wheel drive, and if you mash the brake and mash the throttle, it'll launch at 3,900. So you have way more power available, and it goes like crazy. The shifts are super crisp, and it's like such a performance machine in a SUV, in like a 7-passenger SUV, that like I've never experienced anything like that. And I'm ashamed. I'm not ashamed, but like I am surprised that journalists aren't talking about how good a performance bargain this is.
No, the SRT Durango is fucking sweet. We gave it an excellent review, and I'm a big fan of that thing. It's really got good balance. It handles well. It rides well. It's often overlooked, but it shouldn't be because it's fucking sweet.
Yeah, and like the interior is a little cheap. One thing I didn't like is that I feel like they needed some more frames per second on their digital dash. It just felt a little like slow.
It's a little Nickelodeon.
It is.
Yeah.
Like it feels a little bit like that. Like they could have, had 8 gigabytes, 8 megabytes of RAM or something in there.
Sorry, sir. We could only afford 7 hertz.
Yes. But like other than that,
I found these Raspberry Pis in the trash, guys. We can use them for our media.
our worries are over. I think those cars are really cool, but like it's very clear that the Dodge, them putting any money into platforms, they're not putting any money into anything. They're just like, what can we do that would be the bare minimum, but we can skew it with marketing. Like, oh, this is an all new thing for 2023. It's like, this is the last version of the Hellcat. You're going to want this. It's like, yeah, but it was exactly the same as like the last 4 years. So,
yeah, but have you seen some of these things on the flip, man? Like Meekum and shit. Some of these fucking special edition Hellcats are bringing money.
Yeah, and then they go to people that are going to be, dead in the next, 6 months. So like it's like I get that.
Are you saying they go to Florida?
They do go to Florida. Everybody goes to Florida to die,
Snowbird.
And then I get cheap cars.
I mean, you're totally right. One thing that I guess it's nice that Dodge has done so much with so little. Like they built good-looking cars that are fun to drive and have an attitude. They exude an attitude, and like they sold like hotcakes. I mean, there's so many Chargers and Challengers everywhere. Didn't we look this up?
They're outselling the Mustangs and the Camaros.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even with the super compromised old technology, they're still beating the new guys.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, they have to do that because there's a scrappiness to them. Like there's a, we're gonna just send it and see what happens. Quality to them, which I really like.
Yeah.
And when I went to Roadkill Nights and did all that stuff, like we hung out with the CEO of Dodge, and he's just a regular car guy. He was talking to us about the Demon and how the trans brake was like a pain in the ass to work. He was like, just use launch control. That trans brake is garbage. So like, and like this is the CEO of the company.
Part out loud.
No, I mean, like it wasn't garbage, but like he was like, it's complicated to use and whatever. But you could tell that he cares about.
Don't use the bucket.
I can like. I have a pet peeve about launch controls that are difficult to set.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you've ever gone to an actual drag strip before, you've got a
limited
limited amount of time to sit there and fuck with the thing. If you can't get that shit in the right mode and ready to go in about 2-3 seconds, you're going to look like a dummy. It's not cool.
Yeah, so when I was, when the first time I did Roadkill Nights, we had to take these cars and modify them for drag racing, these 2021 Charger Redeyes. And did I lose something? Okay,
no,
there we
what?
go. Sorry, I thought I just lost you there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had these Charger Redeyes. And then, like, I was replaying in my head, like a mantra, what I had to do when I got to the line. Like, turn this off, turn this on, do a burnout, rev to 25, then leave, and like, all that stuff. And I was just like, dun, 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 like in my head. Because if I missed one step, then I would look like a complete idiot. I would screw up the burnout, or like the launch control would like just make it like eat its own tires off the line. So like stuff like that is, you have to remember it. And if you have a car that is like, all right, well, it has to be in the right mode. The tires have to be exactly straight. It has a gyroscope, so make sure you're not on uneven ground. And then the phase of the moon has to be just right, and you have to make sure your relationship with your mom is perfect. So
check the wind. Yeah,
exactly. Mercury is in retrograde.
Your relationship with your mom is perfect. That's really funny.
So the McLaren, my McLaren, when we were at the track, I pressed launch control, and then it was like launch control unavailable.
Yeah.
And it didn't give me any sort of why? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah. It was not perfectly level, if it's 2 degrees up or down. Zach and I like to do test launch control on this one particular straightaway in the canyons, but if you're 50 feet this way versus this way, it's 1 degree up or down, and it will just let you. That's why I like Porsche. Porsche is just left foot brake, right foot gas, go. Repeat
the C8 is
100 times. Yeah,
the 296 was pretty easy as well, but you still had to turn it to what, CT off?
You had to turn it to CT off manual, which 296 is interesting because most cars that they want you to do they want you in automatic.
Yeah.
But the 296 would only do it if you were in manual, which is
That's
weird.
strange.
Yeah, and then you power start. PS.
What do you guys think about this new 6-cylinder hybrid reality? What do you guys think?
We drove the 296 last week, and we found that if you are in the performance mode, which leaves the gas engine on all the time, it's really fast and really fun. And the fact that it's a 6-cylinder doesn't matter because it makes a shitload of power and it still sounds really good. I'm driving Artura this Friday, so I can.
Artura is such I think of I just call it the McLaren Arturo, and it's trying to sell you insurance.
Yeah.
But I went to Amelia and they had the Artura there, and I asked the McLaren guys, I was taking a look at the panel gaps, which are generally garbage, but I talked to the McLaren guys. I said, "How's the Artura?" They go, "We don't know. It hasn't started." So I'm like, "Oh."
I mean, there's no question they've had a tough launch with this thing. I mean, Mike Guy, my editor for Road and Track, went on the original European launch, which was 8 months ago. And the European launch went so badly they canceled all the other launches. Remember, I was supposed to go right after the American launch was right after Pikes Peak, and we got the phone call while we were in Pikes Peak. There was a very friendly British man who was like, "Listen, mate,
things have gotten a bit warm.
Shit's not gonna work." And so I think they've got it sorted. It's in Vegas, the launch, so it's this Friday, so I can report back. But the Ferrari, if you're going to integrate a hybrid, it better still feel like a Ferrari, and it does, and it's really fast, and it sounds good, and it's not too heavy, and I think they've done a pretty good job of that.
I don't think it looks very good. It looks kind of like.
Have you seen one in person?
Yeah, I have.
Because I didn't like it that much when I first saw photos come out. It has grown on me a lot, especially the rear 3/4 and the view from the back. The front still looks a lot like SF90, which isn't amazing, but I
did
think
you
it's
see the
pretty good.
one, Freddy? Did the one you saw have one color or two colors on it?
Oh, no, it wasn't that blue and red one.
The blue and red one that Chris Harris drove is
That's the Fiorano pack.
bottom is awful looking.
Well, that's
Awful
worst
looking.
spec all day. Yeah.
That is awful looking. The one that we drove, which was just red with silver wheels, I thought looked pretty nice. I thought it was a nice looking car.
So I don't think it's offensively bad. Yeah, it looks fine, but there's something about that looks like a near beer Ferrari. This is the V6 model.
If you
Does
look
it
at
look like a V6 Camaro in a way?
Yes, if you look at it from the wrong angle, the front is F-body Camaro. A little bit.
Oh, shit.
The headlights is just the slope of it. I hate saying that, but a little bit.
Somebody's gonna spend $250,000 on this thing and be like,
$250,000.
"Oh my god,
bro!" The one that red car you're looking at right there is $450,000.
$450,000. Where are people getting this money?
I don't know. People have too much money. I
make a
don't
lot of
know.
YouTube
It's
videos.
crazy. But this thing has all the carbon, everything. Which is crazy because in these photos you don't even see any of that shit. Like
That's
the carbon
insane.
just disappears into it, but like
Most of it, yeah.
carbon frunk liner, carbon engine compartment.
Well, it had carbon intakes, and you couldn't see the intake manifold. You couldn't see it unless you opened the engine compartment and then looked toward the front of the car. Like, it was buried in there.
Yeah.
But it was expensive.
So I mean, I got a
really
ride in an
expensive.
SF90, and it was fine. Like, it's really fast, but like there's something weird about driving a Ferrari in electric mode. Like,
I agree.
It feels wrong, man.
I agree. The only thing I've said this might be repetitive for our audience, but the only thing I used electric mode for at all was to back it out of my driveway at 5 a.m. without waking my wife up. That's it. It's literally the how to cheat on your wife and sneak in and sneak out mode. And obviously there's some London, whatever the London congestion charge is, where if it does 15 miles on electric, you don't have to pay some kind of a tax. That's obviously what it's for. So, but other than that, drive 100 feet away from my house and then flick it over to the other mode. Yeah. I didn't like the electric mode really at all. And nor would I spend that kind of a money to drive a Ferrari that makes no sound. So I'm with you on that.
I've been looking into the hybrid stuff a lot more because I tried to get this Flood P1, the Flood P1.
Yeah, really? It's got to be fucked.
Yeah. So it is like I got pretty close. I mean, it went up for auction last week. Or
really? What did it go for? Did it sell?
So right before the auction went live, they put a reserve on it, and whenever they put a reserve, it's going to be something stupid. So it was sold on approval, which means that whoever it's sold to, the insurance company goes to the person that bought got the highest bid, and they go, hey, actually instead of 400,000, we'd like 800,000. Can you do that? And the guy goes, no. They're like, all right, so how about 799? And then if that doesn't go, then then they just go up again for auction. But like I think it probably didn't sell. The most that it went for was 400, which was fairly high for that car. But I was doing a lot of research, and what's interesting about this car is that if you think McLaren used a lot of interchangeable parts, they certainly did. This car, I believe the 12C and the 650S had very, very similar wiring harnesses. And I found this out because when I was working on my 675, one of the, this is getting real geeky, but I swear there's a point to this. We had an airbag malfunction. And the airbag malfunction was like a pyro fuse, which is like this little pyrometric fuse that blows up if you're in a car accident, and then it cuts all power. Mm-hmm. And this car has two of them, one in the front, one in the back. I changed the one in the front, everything worked, but it still gave me an airbag code. And I'm like, what the hell? And we changed the one in the back, and I'm looking at the one in the back. I'm like, it's not connected to anything. Like, it's literally just a wire that goes to nothing. And like, you put it in the pyro fuse, there's a little holder for it. And then it dawned on me and the guy that I was working with, I'm like, oh, wait, no, this is for the P1. Because all the electrics are on the back, like all the, this is to cut off the giant battery pack that lives back here.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I'm like, oh, wait. So the entire electrical system is exactly the same as the P1. And why wouldn't it be? It's all the sensors are the same. It's getting everything from the same place. So other than some calibration changes and maybe one or two extra modules, it's the same car. So it has the same exact wheelbase. There's going to be maybe some differences in engine length, but you make up for that in the engine, the dog bone mounts. And, I was looking at it as there's nothing on this car that scares me, except for that, the battery pack, which is something you take out and then you have to rebuild from the ground up.
I mean,
how many years before you open your own lithium mine, Tavarish? And you're just first we got to dig a hole right here.
Yeah, if you could somehow make a battery pack for a Prius, work in this.
Now we're hot rodding.
Well, yeah. I mean, so McLaren has an upgraded battery pack that they use from the Speedtail to put in your P1. So they have 3 or 4 times the density, energy density, that they can put in your P1 to make it faster, which is kind of cool.
So you can buy that battery pack then, in theory.
Yeah, it's $200,000.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Well, Good luck on this. I mean,
So I was working with a guy that would essentially float me the money, and then we would, work out a deal. But I was like, it's sort of an incredible project. But also, I think the insurance was like, number one, they wanted something crazy like $800,000, which I definitely don't have, and then they were like putting a requirement on it, like you have to have photo evidence or video evidence of the car being destroyed. And I'm like, what is the point of buying it then?
Of being destroyed?
Yeah,
so the idea being that someone would buy it for parts and then destroy the rest of the car?
Yeah, so it has a certificate of destruction. And my idea was like the carbon tub, the base carbon tub is exactly the same as the 12C and 650S. Now the P1 has, and like the 12C and 650S, they have like the half tub.
Right.
Which is like the mono tub.
The monocell.
Monocell, right?
Yeah.
And then the P1 has a mono cage, which is like on top of that, they bond this cage structure over.
Right.
But the base is the same. And that's the stuff with the VIN number on it and all that stuff. So like if I were to do it like as legal as possible with everybody watching, I would have to buy the world's worst 12C or 650S and then
strip it for the tub. Holy shit.
Strip that back to the tub and then put everything on it. And then the VIN number wouldn't be a P1, but I wouldn't care. So
yeah, and you could also make a Spider.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could, but there's a lot of stuff back there that like it's going to crash into it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. And I was doing a lot of research on it. But it's just sort of not in the cards. I do want to get into a hypercar though, but like, turns out they're real expensive.
They're really fucking expensive.
Even when they've been floating in salt water for 3 days.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a shame though, because that would be a cool project, but like not.
It had 300 miles on it.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. There's no miles on that. That thing was brand new.
Oh, it sucks. Do you think the engine is salvageable or no?
It depends because the air boxes, it probably got.
Did you go look at it in person?
No,
Okay.
But like from what I saw, the waterline was above the air boxes, but those air boxes are also a little bit weird in that they like go down into the intercoolers and then the intercoolers go back up. So I'm not sure if like even if the engine had something in it, you can replace the liners. I mean, and if you're going that far, what I would do is I would get a 720S engine, which is a 4-liter, same casting and everything, and then just slap that in, put the P1 heads on it, and then just kind of like make that work. Because that's essentially what Lanzante does, where they have a P1 4.0.
I just saw one of those in person. The P1 GT or whatever the fuck
the
it
LM,
is. It's crazy. It's
great. It's fantastic.
So crazy. Yeah, I met a guy up in Sacramento who's got one. It's fucking
What do they
nuts.
charge, like $500,000 or something to do that?
I think it's more than that. I don't
insane.
know, but it's a lot. And the guy's other car was a Chiron.
Oh yeah.
So it was
not your only
aggressive. Yeah.
It's that and a Versa. Yeah.
Right. He's also got a GR Corolla though.
He paid a lot of
he paid 75 over.
Yeah.
75 over and fucked everybody else.
Let's go to the Patreon. Of course, if you want to ask questions of our guests, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. No ads on the show. Watch the live show, ask questions, and get an extra podcast every month. Let's see. Lucas says, what is the best Jeckyl and Hyde car you've ever driven? Money, no object. Something you'd be willing to use while sitting in traffic on a road trip or bombing B roads. 4 seats, ideal. I say CT5 Blackwing manual gearbox in black, no badges. Perfect. Luxury, massage seats, comfortable, CarPlay, and fuck all quick.
I would do, 4 seats preferable, but if we're doing 2 seats, I'd say probably 720S. Because you can drive that thing anywhere. It
Daily
has lift. It has, you can daily it. It looks a bit clown car-ish. You get into a gas station and you're the guy with the butterfly doors and all that crap. But like, you put it into the right modes and manual, and like it is faster than any car deserves to be.
Yeah, they're the best.
I would go E63 AMG with the all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive option, selectable switch, because it's basically the CT5, but just a little bit nicer looking.
Yeah. Light Bias says, as a mechanic, this is for you, Freddie, as a mechanic, where do you see you and folks in your trade going as the market continues to move toward electric vehicles?
Well, I mean, I'm not trained in any of this stuff, but like from the amateur perspective, which is what I am, I would say that everything moves, like it ebbs and flows. Like whatever technology that is emerging, there's going to be a lot of people that need to service that technology. So people are going to be learning, essentially learning to code. They're going to be looking at like the mechanical components in an electric motor, because there are, mechanical components, they wear out, mounts, oiling, all that stuff, because, a car is a car, it still wears down things. You're still going to need people to diagnose and service them. So it's not going to be, as involved mechanically, but it's going to be more like computer based, and like diagnosing issues like that. So it's sort of like what happened when the carburetor went out and fuel injection came in, and then the advent of the ECU came in, and now you have OBD and like all these standards coming in. People didn't really like, their jobs didn't leave; they just got a new skill set. So I think that's probably where it's going to go.
Battery packs scare me.
Yeah, I mean, the electrical fires are fun. The ones that can't go out. So. I mean, Elon has that covered. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
so it's fine.
Andrew says, have you fixed the issues with the McLaren that came up during the the filming of CarTrek, and was the alarm bit real?
So the alarm bit, as we filmed it in CarTrek, we did the alarm as a bit. But it came from the night before. We were staying in a hotel near Monterey, and this McLaren, we didn't get the right sound effect for it, but this McLaren has the most ear-piercing alarm sound I've ever heard. At 5 a.m. in my hotel, this car alarm goes off, and it wakes up everybody, like freaking everybody. I get a call from front desk at 5 a.m. Saying, "Hey, your car is going nuts," and I don't even know how they found out it was my car. Somebody had, like, they had to be frantic. Like this thing was going on for 20 minutes. I was on the 4th floor on the other side of the hotel, and I heard it in my room. Oof. So at the end, we got a letter from somebody that put it on my windshield that says, please park your car in the back, or turn your alarm off, or fix your car, or something like that. And we actually used that in the show. But for I had a problem that was the door latch, and we had a door latch overnighted from my friend Sean, who was a tech for McLaren, and he and we got this thing, and I installed it. It was pretty easy. It took about 45 minutes, but then everything was fixed. McLarens are just notorious for having little issues like that, but that was super annoying.
I bet that sucks. That's pretty, at least the letter wasn't like, hey, asshole, your fucking blue car is making all this fucking noise.
I mean, somebody could have keyed the car, or put a golf club through the windshield or something. So yeah. I'm just glad that didn't happen.
Yeah. Bowden, we pretty much got your question here. Is they basically asked if there's a project you don't seeing yourself taking on, and referring to the Hurricane P1. Let's see. In that vein, Tom says, what is your absolute money, no object, unobtainium dream build? I feel like you answered this the last time you were with us, but...
Yeah, but I mean, it always changes. So, my money, no object dream car used to be the Aston Martin DBS, because I love that car, and now I basically drive one every day. But, I think, a Chiron would be really cool. But... I don't know. I mean, at the end, you have a car that doesn't really sound all that great. Sure, it does 200 something miles an hour, but where are you going to do that? And then you're just going to be scared of anybody, tapping your bumper, because it costs $3 billion to replace. So I don't know what the money, no object, real build would be. I mean, I would love a P1. Actually, one of the things that I wanted to do with that P1, the flood one, was to sand down all the paint and then just turn it into a carbon series, because That's essentially what McLaren does. Like all the panels are carbon anyway. They just paint them, and then
Yeah,
they charge
but I bet
more.
the weave doesn't line. I bet it costs more to get the weave to line up and look right. And when they're painting it, they don't go through the trouble of lining up the weave.
So on my 675 LT, we did exactly that to the rear, the spoiler, underneath the spoiler. The weave lines up exactly the same way as the entire, in the middle, like it just went straight up, that herringbone weave. We did it to the sides, the scoops. And there are a few like small inconsistencies, but they don't change the pattern of the weave. And if you actually look at a carbon series, like if you have an MSOHS or a P1 or something, the weave doesn't line up from the bumper to the fender. It doesn't line up.
Oh, really?
Like, there's no, yeah. I mean, there's only one way for the weave to go, and like it's a big bumper with a lot of like swoops and curves. Like there's no way they can make that line up. So
because if you could do like a Koenigsegg in bare carbon, they do line it up.
in most, yeah, like so in most of the panels, but I know in Pagani they from the fender to the bumper they don't, but like from the bumper, the front of the bumper to the hood, it does. Just because there's not you can't make curved carbon fiber, like it doesn't make any sense.
Koenigsegg, because it's one like clamshell panel, they can make it line up. I guess if it's multiple panels, that's a different story. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's tougher, but like if they make those exactly the same way. There's no like extra, process that they do for the carbon series, other than the fact that they charge you $300,000 and they polish it more. So they'll get the good molds, like they'll make sure it's not shitty, right?
Yeah.
But it's still like I did this exact thing on my McLaren. We just sanded off all the paint, and boom, it's visual carbon. You know?
Yeah. All right, cool. Robert, we covered your question earlier. Ugh, Benjamin Ali, you're killing me, bro. Wants to know if we're gonna do an All Cars Go to Heaven 3. We did it. It was a series. It's on YouTube
it's on
right
our
now.
Channel, man.
It's on
I liked
our
it
channel.
a lot. It was very good. I liked it a lot.
Thank you. We were very proud of it, and nobody watched it. It did terrible numbers.
So it's amazing how that works out, because like you spent a lot of time and a lot of money on something, and the product, like the end product, is very good, and you're like, why isn't anybody watching this in the numbers that I think they should be watching? And I've had that happen a million times on my channel. So it's weird, but like I think over time those things tend to always normalize, and like they get views. So like if you look at it in a year or two and then you look back on it, you're like, oh, this is actually doing quite well. I didn't notice it. It'll creep up on you.
That has happened certainly with car reviews before, where I'll do something that doesn't do shit in the first week or two, but then it adds up over time. I don't know about this one. It was a bummer for sure that it didn't do the numbers we wanted, because Zach did a great job producing it, and the guys who shot it did a great job, and it was edited really well, and I had a fucking blast making it. I thought it was really a fun series. It was definitely one of the best things we've ever made. But
so
sometimes don't hit.
So here's a call to action. Anybody watching or listening to this, if you haven't seen All Cars Go to Heaven 3, it's on the Smoking Tire YouTube channel. Just go watch it right now.
Thank you, Freddy. Please go watch it. It's 60 minutes of fun and destruction.
Yep.
Well, congrats on CarTrek 9. And wait, so if you shot 2 at a time, does that mean 10 is right around the corner?
10 is a Christmas special. Yeah, we're doing
Christmas special, right?
Yeah, we have. We're calling it the Oregon Fail. That's
a good one. I like that pun. That's nice.
Yes, we are taking terrible off-roaders through the Oregon Trail. So
you're gonna eat each other.
Did you also find the Oregon Trail has mostly been paved and turned into highways, like I did?
So we did
when I produced that episode.
Yeah. We ended up getting lost and deviating from the trail a bit, but there's a lot of off-roading sections, and we have cars that have no business being on any off-road trail. So I think people will like it.
Nice. I'll ask you another question once we're off air about that.
Before we get out of here, because we got to wrap this up, how's my Lexus?
Lexus is good. So I have a second shop that's like basically overflow storage, and every time I go in there, the Lexus is standing there. It's on a battery tender, and I'm just like, what are we gonna do? So I got reached out to by one of our mutual friends, and he was like, well, I have this dealership that wants to like rebuild the car, kind of like restore it. And I'm like, okay, great. And then that kind of fizzled out. And I'm thinking, well, I'd like to rebuild it so it looks brand new and then put another 1,000,000 miles on it. The Peterson is interested. They want to put a ton of miles on it. So like, well, we're still, the car's sitting there. It's not going to, it's going up in value, that dollar, it goes a long way, my friend.
Yeah, you really got a lot for your money with that $1 purchase. Yeah,
absolutely. But I would love, so my idea is I would love to restore it and then drive it across the country and then give it back to you, or we could do a charity thing or whatever.
If you want to, if you want to drive it back over here once it's done, I'll take it back. Why not?
Such a good car.
I'm a dealer now, so I can just I don't have to deal with the fucking whatever the paperwork is of that thing anymore.
It's wonderful. But that car is good. I mean, we did it on CarTrek 6, I believe, and we drove it 1,000 miles. I mean, it was the most unremarkable road trip ever. It burned some oil, but it went up Pikes Peak. It did everything that I asked it to do. It wasn't the fastest thing in the world. We recreated that Lexus commercial. With all the champagne.
Yeah. Could still do that. Smooth. Yeah. 1UZ.
Oh yeah. We did have to glue them all down, but
that's fucking cheating, bro. That's not cool.
It is, but we also made it 8 feet tall. So
that car is a champion. And it's not about the 1,000,000 miles. It's about the fact that it's 1,000,000 miles with of the 6 owners, at least 4 of them didn't give a fuck.
No.
I gave a fuck.
I would argue none of them gave a fuck.
I mean, I gave a lot of fucks. I fucking put a lot of money and maintenance into that car.
Sure, but you let 500 people drive it.
It's true. That is true. And I have the logbook to prove it.
Yeah.
Well, check out all of Freddy's shit at the Tavarish YouTube channel, of course. His hijinks with Ed Bolian and Tyler Hoover are up there now in CarTrek 9. And look out! I'll be looking out for that Christmas special. Always good talking to you, Freddy.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time. Come visit us, of course, when you're on this coast.
And likewise.
I'll try to make it sometime other than August. So that seems to be my lot in life. Is
I was
Central
just in Florida. It was
in
so
August.
nice. It was perfect this weekend.
I know, it fucking sucks. Freddie, you got to change your header photo on your channel. It's still that old V8 Vantage.
I want. So I'm talking to the guy that owns that car, and I'm like, I want it back. It's just extra. This is Doug DeMuro's old Vantage, and I never changed it, and I just want that car back.
Well, you're the guy. You're certainly the guy.
I mean, the header hasn't seemed to impact your views. So
I know. It's not negatively affecting your channel.
Yeah,
all of a
I
sudden, I
matters.
realized that photo is old school. Well, thanks, dude. Great show. Good talking to you. And thanks to everybody for listening. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.